Dr. Sarah Chen yawned as she stared at the computer screen. It was 3 a.m., and the soft glow of monitors lit up the dark control room of the SETI Institute. She had been working the night shift for weeks, listening to the endless static of space. But tonight was different. A strange beeping noise caught her attention. Sarah sat up straight, her tiredness forgotten. She adjusted her headphones and leaned closer to the screen. The signal was unlike anything she had ever seen before. "This can't be right," she muttered to herself. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she ran diagnostics and checked for errors. But the signal remained steady and undeniable. With shaking hands, Sarah reached for her phone. She dialed a number she knew by heart. "Dr. Puddle, it's Sarah. I think we found something." Within hours, the quiet SETI Institute turned into a beehive of activity. Scientists from all over the world joined emergency video calls. The news spread like wildfire through the scientific community. Dr. Patel, a tall man with graying hair, stood at the front of the packed conference room. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice trembling with excitement, "we have received a signal from deep space, and we believe it's artificial in origin." The room erupted in gasps and excited chatter. Someone in the back shouted, "Is it aliens?" Dr. Patel held up his hands for silence. "We don't know yet, but we need to decode this signal. I'm calling for an international effort. We need the best minds from every field working on this." And so began the greatest collaborative effort in human history. Cryptographers, linguists, mathematicians, and computer scientists from every corner of the globe worked around the clock. They shared data, argued theories, and pushed the boundaries of human knowledge. Days turned into weeks. The world watched and waited. News channels ran constant updates. Social media buzzed with theories and speculation. In every home, in every language, people asked the same question: are we alone in the universe? Finally, after a month of tireless work, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Aisha, a 16-year-old math prodigy from Nigeria, noticed a pattern in the signal that everyone else had missed. Her insight was the key that unlocked the alien message. As the decoded message appeared on screens around the world, a hush fell over humanity. Dr. Chen, who had first heard the signal, had the honor of reading it aloud. "To the inhabitants of the third planet of the yellow star, we are in distress. Our fleet is stranded in your solar system. Our propulsion systems have failed. We have observed your recent advancements in warp technology. We humbly request your assistance. We come in peace." The silence lasted for a heartbeat. Then chaos erupted. Governments called emergency meetings. Military leaders debated defense strategies. Religious leaders sought meaning in ancient texts. And ordinary people around the world tried to come to terms with the fact that humanity was not alone. In New York, the United Nations General Assembly convened an emergency session. Representatives from every nation gathered to decide humanity's response. The debate was fierce. Some argued for caution, fearing a trap. Others saw an opportunity for humanity to prove itself on the galactic stage. As the sun rose on the third day of debates, a decision was reached. Humanity would answer the call. A mission would be prepared to make first contact and offer assistance to the stranded alien fleet. Dr. Chen sat in her old chair at the SETI Institute, staring at the signal that had changed everything. She thought about the long nights of listening to static, the years of doubt and ridicule from those who said SETI was a waste of time. Now, humanity stood on the brink of a new era. And it had all started here, with an unexpected beep in the night. As she closed her eyes, Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile. The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin, and she couldn't wait to see what happened next. The United Nations Space Command Center buzzed with activity. Screens flickered with data streams, and the air crackled with tension. At the heart of it all stood Captain Maria Rodriguez, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen. "Are we ready?" she asked, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. Dr. Chen, now the lead scientist for the mission, nodded. As ready as we'll ever be, Captain. Maria took a deep breath. Okay, let's make history. Open the channel. With a few keystrokes, Dr. Chen established the link. The room fell silent as everyone waited. For a moment, there was only static. Then, a voice filled the room. It was unlike anything they had ever heard before, melodious yet alien, familiar yet strange. Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Zarquin. We thank you for answering our call. Maria stepped forward. This is Captain Maria Rodriguez of Earth. We received your distress signal. How can we assist you? The alien voice paused before responding. Our situation is dire. Our fleet's main propulsion system has failed. We are adrift in the void between your world and the one you call Mars. As the Zarquin explained their predicament, holographic displays came to life around the room. They showed images of the alien fleet, massive ships that looked like shimmering crystals against the blackness of space. Dr. Chen's eyes widened as she studied the alien technology. It's incredible, she whispered. Their ships are unlike anything we've ever imagined. The alien continued. We have observed your species for some time. Recently, we detected your first successful tests of warp drive technology. We believe this technology, combined with our knowledge, could be the key to our salvation. A murmur ran through the room. Earth's warp drive was still experimental, barely capable of moving a small probe. How could it help an entire alien fleet? Maria exchanged glances with her team before responding. We're willing to help, but I must ask, why come to us? Surely there are other, more advanced civilizations in the galaxy. There was a long pause before the alien replied. You are correct, Captain. There are older and more technologically advanced species, but they are set in their ways, rigid. You humans are young, adaptable, creative. You see solutions where others see only problems. That is why we chose you. The words sent a ripple of pride through the room. Humanity, for all its flaws, had been recognized for its unique qualities. We accept your challenge, Maria said firmly. We'll need more information about your ships and the nature of the problem. Can you transmit technical data? Of course, the alien replied. We're sending it now. As the data streamed in, Dr. Chen and her team pored over it. Their expressions shifted from confusion to awe to determination. Captain, Dr. Chen said, her voice filled with excitement. Their technology. It's based on principles we've only theorized about. Quantum entanglement drives, dark energy manipulation. It's centuries beyond us. But what? Maria prompted. But I think I see why they need us. Dr. Chen continued. Their systems are incredibly advanced, but also incredibly complex. They've optimized and refined their technology to the point where a simple failure can cascade through the entire system. They need what's the word? Our clutches. Our ability to cobble together solutions from whatever's at hand. Maria nodded, understanding dawning. So, we're not here to outthink them. We're here to think differently. Exactly, Dr. Chen grinned. Maria turned back to the communication panel. Zarquin, we've received your data. We're committed to helping you, but we'll need to send a team to your fleet. We need to see the problem firsthand. We anticipated this, the alien voice replied. We welcome your team aboard our command ship. When can you be ready? Maria looked around the room, seeing determination in every face. Give us 48 hours to prepare. We'll launch as soon as we're ready. As the communication ended, the room erupted into action. Orders were given, plans were made, and the best minds on Earth began preparing for humanity's greatest journey. Maria stood in the center of it all, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through her. They were about to meet aliens, to see technology beyond their wildest dreams. But more than that, they carried the hopes of two species on their shoulders. As she watched her team work, Maria allowed herself a small smile. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew one thing for certain. Humanity was ready to face them. The news of the alien contact spread like wildfire across the globe. Within hours, it seemed everyone on Earth was talking about the Zarquin and their request for help. In New York, the United Nations building was surrounded by a sea of reporters and curious onlookers. Inside, representatives from every nation had gathered for an emergency session. UN Secretary General Amina Khoury stood at the podium, her face serious. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "we face a decision that will shape the future of our species. Do we help the Zarquin, or do we turn them away?" The room erupted into chaos. Some representatives shouted for caution, while others argued for immediate action. The Russian representative, a stern-faced man named Dmitry, stood up. "How do we know this isn't a trick? These aliens could be planning an invasion." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. But then, Dr. Chen stepped forward. She had been invited to present the scientific perspective. "With all due respect," she said, her voice calm but firm, "if the Zarquin wanted to invade, why would they ask for our help? They have technology far beyond ours. If they meant us harm, we would already be defeated." This statement caused a stir. The Chinese representative, a woman named Lai Wei, spoke next. "Dr. Chen makes a good point, but what about the risks? What if helping them exposes Earth to unknown dangers?" Captain Rodriguez, standing beside Dr. Chen, answered, "There are always risks in exploration and first contact, but think of the benefits. The Zarquin have offered to share their knowledge with us. This could advance our technology by centuries." The debate raged on for hours. Outside, people around the world watched on screens, their own discussions mirroring those in the UN chamber. In a small cafe in Paris, a group of students argued passionately. "It's our duty to help," said one, her eyes shining with excitement. "Think of what we could learn." "But what if they bring diseases?" countered another. "Remember what happened when Europeans first contacted the Americas." Similar conversations were happening everywhere. In Tokyo, a group of engineers discussed the potential technological advancements. In Lagos, religious leaders debated the theological implications of alien life. Back in the UN, the Brazilian representative raised a new point. What about the ethical implications? If we have the power to help and choose not to, what does that say about us as a species? This question silenced the room. For a moment, everyone seemed lost in thought. Finally, an unexpected voice spoke up. It was the representative from a small island nation, a place that had often been overlooked in global politics. "My people," he said, his voice quiet but clear, "have a saying. The hand that helps is holier than the mouth that prays. We have been given a chance not just to help ourselves, but to help another species. If we turn our backs on them, how can we call ourselves human?" His words seemed to shift the mood in the room. Slowly, more and more representatives began nodding in agreement. As the sun began to set, Secretary General Khoury called for a vote. The tension in the room was palpable as hands were raised and votes were counted. Finally, she announced the result. By a majority vote, the United Nations has decided to offer assistance to the Zarquin. The room burst into applause, though some representatives still looked worried. Khoury raised her hand for silence. "This mission will be dangerous and challenging, but it also represents the best of humanity. Our curiosity, our compassion, and our unwavering spirit of exploration." She turned to Captain Rodriguez and Dr. Chen. "You have the full support of the United Nations. Go forth, make contact, and show the universe what humanity is capable of." As they left the UN building, Rodriguez and Chen were met by a crowd of cheering people. Signs reading "Welcome Aliens" and "Humanity United" waved in the air. Rodriguez looked at Chen, a mix of determination and nervousness on her face. "Well, Doc," she said, "looks like we're really doing this." Chen nodded, her eyes on the stars just becoming visible in the evening sky. "Yes, we are. For better or worse, we're about to make history." As night fell over Earth, Humanity prepared for its greatest adventure yet. The debate was over. Now, the real work would begin. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of activity. The world's best scientists, engineers, and astronauts gathered at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. They had one goal: prepare for humanity's first interplanetary rescue mission. Dr. Chen stood in the middle of a large hangar, surrounded by whiteboards covered in complex equations. She turned to Captain Rodriguez, who was reviewing equipment lists. "Maria," she said, excitement in her voice, "I think we've cracked it. We can modify our experimental warp drive to interface with the Zarquin technology." Rodriguez nodded, impressed. "Great work, Sarah. But will it be enough to move their entire fleet?" Chen's face fell slightly. "That's the catch. We can only equip one ship with this technology. We'll have to tow the rest of their fleet." As they discussed the challenges, a young engineer named Raj approached them. "Captain, Doctor," he said, slightly out of breath, "we've finished the modifications to the Horizon." The Horizon was Earth's first warp-capable ship. It was originally built for exploration, but now it would serve a far greater purpose. Rodriguez smiled. "Good work, Raj. How does she look?" Raj grinned. "She's beautiful, Captain, and twice as powerful as before." As the days passed, the crew for the mission was selected. Captain Rodriguez would lead, with Dr. Chen as Chief Science Officer. Raj was chosen for his engineering skills. They were joined by Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a brilliant physicist, and Major John Smith, a seasoned pilot. The night before the launch, the crew gathered for a final briefing. The room was tense with anticipation. "Remember," Rodriguez said, looking each crew member in the eye, "we're not just representing ourselves or even our countries. We're representing all of humanity. The fate of two species rests on our shoulders." Chen added, "And don't forget, we're dealing with completely alien technology. Expect the unexpected." As they left the briefing room, Raj turned to Yuki. "Are you nervous?" he asked. Yuki smiled slightly. "Terrified," she admitted, "but also excited. We're about to see things no human has ever seen before." The next morning dawned clear and bright. The Horizon stood on the launch pad, gleaming in the early sunlight. Crowds had gathered to watch, held back by security barriers. News crews from around the world broadcast live. The crew walked out in their sleek new spacesuits, specially designed for the mission. The crowd cheered as they waved. Inside the ship, everyone took their positions. Rodriguez sat in the captain's chair, her hand steady as she ran through the pre-flight checks. "All systems go," Raj reported from his engineering station. "Navigation ready," added Major Smith. Dr. Chen and Dr. Tanaka exchanged excited glances as they monitored the scientific equipment. Rodriguez took a deep breath. "Mission Control, this is Horizon. We are ready for launch." The voice of the flight director came through clear. "Horizon, you are cleared for launch. Good luck and Godspeed." The engines roared to life. The ship shuddered, then began to rise. Slowly at first, then faster and faster. Inside, the crew felt the immense pressure of acceleration. But their training held, each focused on their tasks as the blue sky outside darkened to black. In minutes, they were in orbit. The curve of the Earth spread out below them, beautiful and fragile. "Prepare for warp," Rodriguez ordered. Raj's fingers flew over his console. "Warp drive online, Captain." Rodriguez nodded. "Take us out, Major Smith. Next stop, the Zarquin fleet." Smith engaged the warp drive. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then suddenly, the stars outside stretched into lines of light. There was a flash, and the Earth disappeared. The Horizon shot through space faster than any human-made object before it. They were on their way to make history. As the initial excitement settled, Rodriguez looked around at her crew. They were the best Earth had to offer, but they were heading into the unknown. Would their skills be enough to save an alien civilization? Only time would tell. But as the Horizon raced towards its rendezvous with the Zaraquin, one thing was certain. Humanity had taken its first real step into the galactic community. The greatest adventure in human history had begun. The Horizon streaked through the vastness of space, its warp drive humming steadily. Inside, the crew worked tirelessly, each lost in their own thoughts about the mission ahead. Captain Rodriguez floated into the main control room, grabbing a handhold to stop herself. "Status report," she called out. Raj looked up from his engineering console. "Warp drive is stable, Captain. We're making good time." Dr. Chen frowned at her readings. "I'm detecting some unusual energy fluctuations ahead. It could be the edge of the Zarquin fleet's distress field." Rodriguez nodded. "Okay, people, let's stay sharp. We're about to make first physical contact with an alien species." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red warning lights flashed. "What's happening?" Rodriguez demanded. Major Smith's hands flew over his controls. "We're caught in some kind of energy web. It's disrupting our warp field." The ship shuddered violently. Outside the viewports, space itself seemed to twist and warp. "All hands, brace for impact," Rodriguez shouted. With a final bone-jarring shake, the Horizon dropped out of warp. As the crew regained their bearings, they gasped at the sight before them. Hundreds of massive crystalline ships hung motionless in space. The Zarquin fleet was a breathtaking sight, like a field of stars brought to life. "It's beautiful," Dr. Tanaka whispered. But their awe was short-lived. A massive energy surge from the nearest alien ship rocked the Horizon. "They're scanning us," Raj reported. "Our systems are going haywire." Rodriguez keyed the communications panel. "Zarquin fleet. This is Captain Rodriguez of the Earth ship Horizon. We've come in response to your distress call. Please cease your scan. It's damaging our systems." For a tense moment, there was no response. Then, a melodious voice filled the bridge. "Earth ship Horizon, we apologize for the intrusion. We had to verify your identity. Welcome to our fleet." The energy surge subsided, and the crew breathed a collective sigh of relief. "We're being hailed," Major Smith reported. "They're inviting us to dock with their command ship." Rodriguez nodded. "Take us in, Major. Nice and easy." As they approached the massive alien vessel, the crew marveled at its complexity. The ship seemed to be made of interlocking crystal structures, pulsing with inner light. Docking proved to be a challenge. The Horizon's systems were incompatible with the Zarquin technology. It took all of Raj's skill and some creative problem-solving from Dr. Chen to finally secure the ship. "Okay, team," Rodriguez said as they gathered by the airlock. "We've trained for this, but expect the unexpected. Dr. Chen, you're with me. The rest of you, stay alert and monitor the situation from here." As the airlock cycled, Rodriguez and Chen shared a nervous glance. The doors slid open, revealing a brightly lit crystalline corridor. And there, waiting for them, were the Zarquin. The aliens were tall, slender beings that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. They had no visible eyes, but a series of sensory tendrils waved gently around their heads. One Zarquin stepped forward. When it spoke, its whole body seemed to resonate. "Welcome, humans. I am Zalcor, leader of this fleet. We are grateful for your assistance." Rodriguez stepped forward, fighting to keep her voice steady. "We're honored to help, Zalcor. I'm Captain Maria Rodriguez, and this is our chief scientist, Dr. Sarah Chen." As they exchanged greetings, Dr. Chen couldn't help but stare at the alien technology surrounding them. It was like nothing she had ever seen. Zalcor noticed her interest. "You seem curious, Dr. Chen. Would you like to see our engine room?" Chen's eyes lit up. "Yes, please." As they walked through the ship, Zalcor explained their situation. "Our quantum fold drive suffered a cascading failure. We've been adrift for what you would call months." In the engine room, Chen's excitement turned to concern. The alien technology was incredibly advanced, but also terrifyingly complex. "This is amazing," she breathed. "But I can see why you're having trouble. Your systems are so interconnected. A small problem could quickly become a big one." Zalkor's tendrils drooped slightly. "Yes, our technology has become so advanced, we've lost the ability to make simple repairs. That's why we called for help. We need your human creativity and adaptability." Rodriguez and Chen exchanged glances. The task ahead was daunting, but they were humanity's best hope. As they left the engine room, Rodriguez squared her shoulders. "We'll do everything we can to help, Zalkor. Humanity is ready for this challenge." The journey had been difficult, but the real test was just beginning. Could humanity's ingenuity save an alien civilization? The fate of two species hung in the balance. Days passed as the human crew worked tirelessly alongside the Zarquin. The engine room of the alien command ship had become their second home. Dr. Chen and Raj spent hours poring over the complex systems, while Dr. Tanaka and Major Smith assisted where they could. Captain Rodriguez stood back, watching her team with pride. They were making progress, but time was running out. The Zarquin fleet's life support systems were failing, and they needed a solution fast. "Any luck?" Rodriguez asked as she floated into the engine room. Dr. Chen looked up, her eyes red from lack of sleep. "We've identified the problem, but fixing it is challenging." Raj nodded, his usually cheerful face serious. "Their quantum fold drive is incredibly advanced. It's like trying to fix a computer with stone tools." Zalkor, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. "We appreciate your efforts, humans, but perhaps this task is beyond even your capabilities." Rodriguez was about to respond when a loud crash echoed through the room. Everyone turned to see Major Smith picking himself up off the floor, surrounded by broken pieces of alien technology. "I'm so sorry," Smith said, his face red with embarrassment. "I lost my grip in the low gravity." But Dr. Chen wasn't looking at Smith. Her eyes were fixed on the broken machinery. "Wait a minute," she muttered, floating closer. "This isn't right." "What do you mean?" Rodriguez asked. Chen pointed to the inner workings of the broken device. "Look at this. Their technology. It's all quantum entanglement and complex fields. But this part here, it's just a simple mechanical joint, and it's completely worn out." Raj's eyes widened as he understood. "You're right. Their advanced systems are all working perfectly. It's the basic mechanical parts that have failed." Excitement spread through the room as the implications sank in. The humans had found the problem that had eluded the Zarquin for so long. "But how do we fix it?" Dr. Tanaka asked. "We didn't bring spare parts for alien technology." That's when Major Smith spoke up, surprising everyone. "What if we don't need alien parts? What if we can use our own technology?" The room fell silent as Smith explained his idea. It was crazy, unconventional, and exactly what they needed. Hours later, the engine room was a flurry of activity. The humans had raided their own ship for parts, combining them with Zarquin technology in ways never imagined before. Raj was attaching a human-made circuit board to an alien quantum processor. Dr. Tanaka was reprogramming Zarquin systems to interface with Earth computers. And Major Smith was using his pilot's knowledge to redesign the fleet's navigation systems. Captain Rodriguez watched in amazement as her crew worked. They weren't just fixing the alien technology. They were improving it, making it more robust and adaptable. Zalkor and the other Zarquin observed with a mixture of confusion and awe. "We don't understand," Zalkor said. "How can your primitive technology work with our advanced systems?" Dr. Chen smiled as she connected another set of wires. "It's not about being primitive or advanced. It's about finding the right tool for the job. Sometimes, simpler is better." Finally, after days of non-stop work, they were ready for a test. The entire human crew gathered in the Zarquin Command Center, surrounded by alien officers. "All systems are go," Raj reported, his fingers dancing over a console that was now a bizarre mix of human and alien technology. Rodriguez nodded to Zalkor. "It's your ship. Would you like to do the honors?" Zalkor's tendrils waved in what the humans had learned was a sign of excitement. The alien leader activated the drive. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly at first, but with increasing speed, the massive alien ships began to move. Cheers erupted from both humans and Zarquin as the fleet came back to life. "It works," Dr. Chen exclaimed, hugging Raj in excitement. Zalcor turned to Captain Rodriguez, its body glowing with emotion. "You've done it. You've saved our people. How can we ever repay you?" Rodriguez smiled. "There's no need for payment. This is what humanity does. We solve problems, we help others, and we explore the unknown. That's payment enough." As the Zarquin fleet prepared for their journey home, the human crew realized they had achieved something greater than just a rescue mission. They had proven that humanity, with all its flaws and limitations, had something unique to offer the galaxy. Their primitive creativity, their ability to think outside the box, and their determination in the face of impossible odds had saved an advanced civilization. It was a lesson neither species would soon forget. The journey home would be long, but for the humans and the Zarquin, it was just the beginning of a beautiful friendship. The journey back to Earth was filled with excitement and anticipation. The Horizon led the way, guiding the massive Zarquin fleet through space. Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge, watching the blue marble of Earth grow larger in the view screen. "Home," she whispered, a smile on her face. Dr. Chen floated up beside her. "It looks so small from here, doesn't it? But look what that small planet accomplished." As they approached Earth's orbit, the communication panel lit up. It was the United Nations Space Command. "Horizon, this is Earth. Welcome home. Please confirm, are those the alien ships with you?" Rodriguez grinned. "Affirmative. Earth. We've brought some friends." The news of their return spread quickly. People around the world stopped what they were doing to watch the skies. The sight of the crystalline Zarquin ships glittering alongside human satellites was something no one would ever forget. As the Horizon touched down at Kennedy Space Center, crowds cheered wildly. The crew emerged to a hero's welcome, cameras flashing and reporters shouting questions. But the real show was yet to come. With a shimmer of light, Zalcor and a group of Zarquin representatives teleported down to stand beside the human crew. The crowd fell silent in awe. United Nations Secretary-General Amina Khoury stepped forward, her voice steady despite her obvious emotion. "On behalf of the people of Earth, I welcome our friends from the stars. Today marks a new chapter in human history." The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity. Scientists from around the world worked with the Zarquin, exchanging knowledge and technology. The Zarquin were particularly interested in human art, music, and culture, finding beauty in things they had never imagined. In return, the Zarquin shared glimpses of their advanced science. Hospitals around the world received plans for medical devices that could cure diseases once thought incurable. Engineers marveled at new forms of clean energy that could power entire cities. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Some people feared the changes the aliens brought. Others worried about how Earth's governments would handle this new technology. Debates raged in parliaments and on social media. Through it all, the crew of the Horizon found themselves in the spotlight. They were invited to speak at the UN, interviewed on global news networks, and even featured in a Hollywood movie. One evening, as they sat together in a quiet moment away from the cameras, Raj turned to his crewmates. "Do you ever wonder if we did the right thing? The world seems so different now." Dr. Tanaka nodded thoughtfully. "Change is always scary. But look at what we've gained. New friends, new knowledge, a whole universe to explore." Major Smith grinned. "Plus, I hear they're planning the first human Zarquin joint space mission. Who's up for another adventure?" They all laughed, the bond between them stronger than ever. Meanwhile, in New York, Captain Rodriguez stood before the United Nations General Assembly. She took a deep breath and began to speak. "People of Earth, we stand at a crossroads. The universe has opened up to us in ways we never imagined. Yes, there are challenges ahead, but there are also opportunities beyond our wildest dreams. She paused, looking out at the sea of faces. The Zarquin came to us for help, thinking we had something special to offer. And you know what? They were right. Our creativity, our adaptability, our determination, these are our gifts to the galaxy. But we have so much more to learn. From the Zarquin, from other species we have yet to meet, and from each other. So I ask you now, are we ready? Are we ready to take our place among the stars? The chamber erupted in applause. As Rodriguez stepped down from the podium, she saw Zalcor waiting in the wings, its tendrils waving in what she now recognized as a gesture of pride. "You have done well, Captain," the alien said. "Your people are truly remarkable." Rodriguez smiled. "We're just getting started, my friend. The real journey begins now." As they walked out together, human and alien side by side, they knew that the future held challenges they couldn't even imagine. But they also knew that together, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. The stars awaited, and humanity was ready to answer their call.